Here's where you can buy cheap tax deeds for pennies on the dollar. I'm going to give you the locations and the states where you can get started with this stuff today and have a simple understanding as far as where the heck are these things, how do you do it, where do you go, where do you start? Because what I love about tax deed investing is the fact that it helps brand new investors get into real estate. It doesn't matter what budget you have. There is no other avenue in real estate where you can literally get started with 50 or $100 and work your way up, okay? I've seen people get properties worth hundreds of thousands of dollars for $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. I've seen people get started and buy cheap land for a couple $100. They've sold it for a couple thousand, and then they work their way up. It is the only avenue of real estate where the average person who's working hard, working a 9 to 5, can take a little bit of time, get into real estate, and have a path to be able to create wealth for themselves in a market of real estate that is definitely underrated and overlooked because not a lot of people understand where to do it, how to do it, and where the tax deed states are. So what I want to do in this video is I'm going to walk you through it basically from east to west and what all of the tax deed states are so that you can do a little bit of homework and find some of these properties. So let's start on the West Coast. So on the West Coast for tax deeds, we have California, Oregon, Washington, and Nevada. Okay, now in California, they do their tax deed sales annually. However, I believe it's Los Angeles County that will do 2 sales a year, and there's about a $5,000 deposit to get in. Now, not all places require a deposit. However, that's a big one. What I always recommend is if you're just getting started, a lot of the smaller counties are going to have the best deals because there will be less competition, which is good. Now, I know you're thinking, oh, maybe things get bid up at these auctions. That's a good thing if you go to an auction and it gets bid up, because what you do is you make friends with them, you network, and you have an instant list of cash buyers who will buy your properties, because a lot of the times you can get the property before the auction, make good money, and sell it as well. So on the West Coast, we also have Oregon. They generally do their sales. They take place between October and November out there in Oregon. And then we have Washington. So Washington often does it twice a year, often in August and December. In fact, Washington is where I got my very first property that got me into this business. It was 40 acres of land. I bought it for $4,200. I sold it for $20,000. It was awesome. It was worth over 40. So the beauty of this business and how you can make quick money is the fact that you're leaving money on the table for everybody along the way, right? So remember, you want the fast money, not the last money. So one of the mistakes that people make, especially if you buy something on Zillow or from a realtor, is you go and you fix it up and you're trying to milk every penny out of it. And when you sell something on the MLS, you're competing with everybody's beautiful home that they've spent 20 years making perfect, right? And a lot of the times that can take a while. What I'd way rather do, put in a little bit of upfront elbow grease, get a property 60, 70, up to 90% off, and then guess what? I'm gonna sell that thing for 50% off. Leave room on the table for the next guy and do it over and over again. I'll flip 5 deals in the same amount of time that the person scrapes the MLS. So anyways, coming back to it, we got Nevada. Nevada's a hybrid state. They do tax liens and tax deeds, and the sale can vary depending on when it is. So once again, if you're tuning in, I'm Dustin Hahn, and the channel here is dedicated to helping you, the new investor, get started with tax liens, tax deeds, government seized properties, and just giving you a different way to get into real estate. And what I love about real estate is it's an asset, right? They're not making any more of it. And guess what? Fun fact, guess who's one of the biggest investors in tax lien certificates? That's the banks. So right now, if you have cash in the bank, there's a chance it's already in tax liens. Well, the bank is screwing you over, giving you nothing. They're making mistakes. They're getting bailed out by the government. Hey, you should be doing this business as well. However, today we're talking about tax deeds where you end up getting the property. The opening bid is the back taxes owed, okay? Now, when I say get property pennies on the dollar up to 90% off, the cool thing is if you're consistent in this business, you can get lots of great deals. And if you stick with it, you can get life-changing deals. I've seen people get properties, they're worth $1 million. They've bought it for $50,000, $60,000. I've seen people get $800,000 properties for as little as $10,000. That can only happen in this business. Now, is that every deal? No. If you stick to this and you're consistent, you will get amazing deals across the board. All right, so let's move on to the Midwest right now. So in Idaho, they're a tax deed state. And they do an annual auction there as well. It can vary state by state though. We're going to move on to Utah. Utah sales usually take place in May. So there's lots of tax deed sales there. We got Michigan. They run sales from July to November each year. And the cool thing about Michigan is they have really good research and online presence as far as how they go. They research the properties for you. They give you really good information. So if you go and you search like Michigan public land auctions, you're going to be able to see. And a fun thing about Michigan is the fact that they will allow you to pay with credit cards, which is really, really nice to be able to use the bank's money for some of this. Now, coming back, Ohio. Ohio's a hybrid state. They do both liens and deeds, and a lot of the places do these sales monthly in Ohio. Now, I'm always a big fan of going to places that have monthly auctions, okay? Now, speaking of the next step, if you like this content, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up on the video. Subscribe, ask us a question in the comments. What are you working on? Where do you want to go? Things like that. We got some really fun series coming up, some live auction footage, things like that people have been wanting to see, which is great. We're going to do deep dives on some of our deals as well. So the channel is going to be growing and taking that direction. If you guys have been following me, I've been in this game now for like 20 years, and this business absolutely changed my life. I was working a job that I didn't like, and I was listening to tapes on cassette about how to get into real estate, and it was Tax Liens and Deeds that piqued my interest. But back then, you had to drive. I was in my parents' basement watching VHS tapes on this stuff, and it was tough. Now we have a nice community online, and if you guys really want some help, I do have a totally free mini course called the ABCs of Tax Lien and Deed Investing. It's completely free. I used to sell this. This is hands down, it was the best-selling tax lien book out there. Now I just give it away to help folks get started. It's in the description below. Click the description, you can grab it. And from there, we have the tax deed directories that give you all the phone numbers. So you can just call them up. I've simplified it. This helps a lot of people. Many folks use this stuff to just get started. If you're watching this, some of you watching this, I always like to say, for every 100 views, you could probably assume that one person is getting a property that day. They're just taking action on it, which is awesome. Okay, Arkansas. Arkansas is a deed state. They do their auctions June through October. We've gotten some really fun deals in Arkansas. One of my favorite deals was in Helen, Arkansas. I never, as a child, assumed that I would grow up to one day own a funeral home and a limousine business, which is one of my favorite deals that I bought in Arkansas. I bought it for $6,200. It was worth 75 grand. There was a tenant in it, started paying me $1,000 per month right out of the gate. I rented it to the tenant for 2 years and then sold it to the tenant for $75,000. So just totally awesome deal. And these types of deals can only be done at tax deed sales, right? Sure, there's all sorts of other stuff, but this stuff is fun. It's simple. It's like treasure hunting for adults, and it is a really good time. So southern states, we have Florida. Florida's a hybrid state. And what that means is they do liens and deeds. They do both, right? However, Florida is my least favorite state for tax liens because one of the big benefits of a tax lien state is if the homeowner doesn't pay you back, you foreclose, you get the property for pretty much the price of the back taxes, except in Florida because they're greedy. They want all the pie. So in Florida, if the tax lien doesn't redeem, what happens is it goes to the tax deed sale and then the lien holder gets paid out. But Florida's a great spot. They have lots of online auctions. It's a really good spot for you to get started. Texas, I just did a video on my top 3 favorite tax deed states, and Texas is always my favorite. They have 254 counties. They have auctions every month. There is so much opportunity there. The nice thing is you can do this stuff from the comfort of home. Now, Louisiana offers redeemable deeds as well. They do have some tax liens, and they're a little bit different. They have different parishes in Louisiana, so it depends on where you are. So as you're getting into this, you need to ask the question, where do I start? I always like to start as close to home, okay? So back in the day, I would go to auctions that were close to me. Then here's a key tip. Only ever travel to an auction on an airplane if they have at least 50 to 100 properties for you to look at, because here's what's going to happen. 90% of these properties are going to redeem a few days before the auction, because it's just human nature, right? We leave things till the last minute. I leave everything until the last minute. In fact, one of the things that I do is I make deadlines and bets, and the thing that I hate most in this world is raw onions. So I keep this onion on my desk, and then I have deadlines. If I don't get this XYZ project done by this time, I have to take a bite out of this raw onion, and to me that's one of the most disgusting things in the world, so I keep this near me. So figure out your motivation to doing and getting deadlines done, because often we know what we need to do, we just don't want to do it. And for me, you know, if you love raw onions, ooh, I don't know what's wrong with you. So that's my motivation. It's on my desk. I know there's plenty of people who like onions. My girlfriend's she likes onions, but for me that helps. So for you, come up with something, some sort of challenge. Be like, hey, I'm gonna download the tax deed directory here. I'm gonna, you know, say to your spouse, I'm gonna call 15 of these counties, find out when their sale is. If I don't do that by 6 o'clock, whatever, I owe you $100. I gotta cut the lawn on my underwear, something like that, okay? You'll get things done. This is how I grew my business and how I do it every single day. All right, so coming back, East Coast states. New York is a hybrid state. They do both tax liens and tax deeds, depending on the county. I've bought property in the, I was in Troy, New York area once. Good auctions, lots of auctions out there. Pennsylvania is a tax deed state. They do auctions every month. I really like Pennsylvania as well because they do monthly auctions, okay? So a really good site for Pennsylvania is called Linebarger, however you want to pronounce it, but they do these auctions. They're a law firm that handles it, and they have a really good interface as far as learning what's going on. So you can check that out there for sorting this sort of thing out. Once again, if you guys like this, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. All this directory is in the description. And if you ever want some help, we do one-on-ones with people. We do some coaching, some mentoring. So if you wanted help to do this, we do that as well. You know, I used to sell this stuff online, and now I just work with a couple people a month helping them. And I just give away pretty much everything as far as that goes to help you guys out. So coming back, New York, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. They do year-round sales as well, varying by county. And then we have Rhode Island is a place where you can get tax deeds. And then from there, if we go out a little bit, Alaska's gonna do some deeds. And then we have Hawaii doing some redeemable tax deeds as well. And then Tennessee and Georgia in there for tax deeds. I like Georgia because they do sales every month. It's a great spot. I went to Macon, Georgia once for a really fun sale. Had some ice cream, some peach ice cream. First time I'd ever heard of cicada. Scared me. Anyways, guys, it's time for you to get started. Go find some of these properties. They are out there. It's one of the best ways for you as a beginner to get into real estate. You know, it doesn't matter what your budget is. If you have $50, $100, $500,000. One of the guys watching the channel, he went and bought a lien. It was like a $9 million property. And it was an over-the-counter lien that was sitting there. He bought it, 16% interest right out of the gate, started foreclosing on it immediately. So this business can really have life-changing home runs if you stick to it. Now, I like dirt cheap deals. I say you can get this stuff 80, 90% below market value, which is true. Is that going to be every deal? No, right? You will need to put in some elbow grease. But so what? Over the course of a year, if you have to go to 12 tax deed auctions to go to one auction where you get a $100,000 property for $10,000, that can change your life, and it's worth it. But these days, just people don't want to put in the work. Everybody just wants to be online, feel like they're doing something by watching endless videos over and over again without taking action. What I can tell you is if you put in at least half of the amount of time that you've spent putting in watching these videos, just implementing, executing, getting the directory, calling them up, finding out when the auction is, getting the list, and then from there, watching these videos, you can go through the book as well. It's free. And step by step, just go through it. You will get these properties, right? Now, if you're looking for a pill that you're going to swallow, this isn't it, right? You're probably best to just go buy a crypto coin and just pray that maybe it works, but generally it doesn't. So anyways, that is my rant for that. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this stuff, subscribe, thumbs up, ask me a question in the comments. I really appreciate you tuning in. See you in the next one.